Most people associate intelligence with grades, credentials, or the ability to win an argument. But psychology tells a completely different story. True cognitive sophistication rarely announces itself in public. It operates quietly, privately, in the moments nobody else witnesses. And if you consistently do these 6 things when you are completely alone, your level of intelligence is far rarer than you have ever been told. 1. You sit with uncomfortable questions without forcing an answer. The average mind despises uncertainty. It rushes to conclusions, grabs the nearest available explanation, and seals the case shut. But a genuinely sharp mind does something almost counterintuitive. It tolerates the discomfort of not knowing. When you find yourself sitting alone, turning a difficult question over repeatedly without demanding an immediate resolution, you are exercising one of the highest cognitive functions a human brain is capable of. Psychologists call this epistemic patience, and it is extraordinarily rare. 2. You mentally argue against your own beliefs. Most people spend their private mental energy reinforcing what they already think. They replay conversations where they were right, construct imaginary arguments they would have won, and quietly congratulate themselves. But if you regularly find yourself alone, genuinely challenging your own deeply held positions, building the strongest possible case against your own opinions, you possess a quality called active self-opposition. This is the internal engine behind every major intellectual breakthrough in history. 3. You notice patterns in your own emotional reactions. Anyone can feel an emotion. Very few people study their emotions like data. If you find yourself alone, quietly observing why a specific situation triggered a specific response in you, tracing the pattern backward to its psychological root, you are practicing a form of metacognition that most people never access in their entire lives. This private habit alone separates reactive minds from genuinely intelligent ones. 4. You restructure how you understood something from your past. Highly intelligent people regularly revisit old memories, old lessons, and old conclusions, not out of nostalgia, but to reinterpret them through a more developed lens. If you have ever been alone and suddenly realized that something you experienced years ago means something entirely different now, that cognitive flexibility is a defining marker of deep intellectual growth. Your mind is not just storing information, it is actively reorganizing it. 5. You find yourself genuinely curious about things that offer you no immediate benefit. Shallow curiosity is transactional. People learn what helps them look impressive, earn more money, or solve an immediate problem. But if you regularly find yourself alone, diving deeply into a subject that has absolutely no practical payoff for your current life, simply because something about it fascinates you, that intrinsic intellectual drive is one of the clearest psychological signals of a high-functioning mind. 6. You are comfortable editing your own thinking mid-thought. Most people commit to a mental direction and follow it to the end out of sheer cognitive habit. But if you regularly catch yourself mid-thought, recognize that your initial reasoning was flawed or incomplete, and voluntarily redirect without ego. You are demonstrating real-time intellectual agility. The ability to self-correct while thinking, not after, is a capacity that formal education almost never teaches and that most people never develop. True intelligence has always lived in private, not in the room where you performed well, not in the argument you won, not in the credential on the wall, in the quiet, in the alone, in the moment nobody was watching and you were still doing the work. Most people will never know this about themselves, not because they aren't intelligent, but because nobody ever taught them to look inward long enough to see it. The world is loud about the wrong things. It celebrates the performance. It rewards the appearance. It applauds the ones who speak first and forgets the ones who think deepest. But here is what psychology keeps confirming over and over again. The mind that works in silence is almost always the one that understands the most. And if these 6 habits already live inside you, They didn't start today. They were there when you were 12, sitting alone with a thought you couldn't explain to anyone. They were there in every conversation where you said less than you knew. They were there in every moment you questioned something everyone else accepted without thinking. You didn't need to be told you were intelligent. You needed someone to finally show you where intelligence actually lives, and now you know. So here is what I want you to do right now. Pick one of these 6 habits, just one, the one that felt most like you. And tonight, when you are alone, practice it deliberately. Not for anyone else, not to prove something. Just to remind yourself of what your mind is actually capable of, because intelligence without direction stays hidden forever. But intelligence that is seen, named, and consciously practiced becomes something else entirely. It becomes growth. And that is what Turnwiser is about. Understanding your mind so deeply that you finally stop underestimating it. If this opens something in you, drop a comment with the number of the habit that felt most like you. I read every single one, and if you want more videos like this, you already know what to do.